Welcome everybody to another edition of WCW 1994 with no Eric Bischoff. As yes, it's been a little while since a video in this series has been up, but life, the summer, the world opening up, all that fun stuff. Of course, if you're watching this video, like, I don't know, in like 2026 or something, that'll all sound weird, but regardless, anyway, series has been off a little bit, but we're back in action, heading towards Superbrawl 1994, so let's get rolling. As we open up Saturday night, with basically the announcers, Shivani and Ventura going over the results of Clash of Champions, including Vader getting the count-out win over Cactus Jack, and, the big six-man between Tsunami, Hawk, and, not forgetting his tagging partner, Tsunami knocking a partner, taking on, and Dustin Rhodes taking on the Iron Horseman, a big tag team match, and of course, the debut of Ted DiBiase here in World Championship Wrestling. And, there's something else big happened. That was the crowning of a new television title holder, and he's in action right now. Let's get to 67 as we open things up. So let's get rolling with our actual opening match of Saturday night, as it's Johnny B. Bad making his first TV title defense, beating Robbie V in 8:05 of his World Wild Thing. This gets a 59. Bad makes defense number 1 of his World TV title. Bad gets a 58. Robbie V gets a 44. Fairly solid, straightforward win for Bad, as he gets, a win on TV. And then Bad cuts promo saying he's proud to be television champion, and he's ready to fight whoever's in his way. And if anyone thinks he's going to take this TV title off this thing, they just might be recipient of a bad blaster, and or recipient of a bad time. I think it's one of his 23 moves. All right, let's move forward. This gets a 54, perfectly solid promo. Bad's not the most over guy, but he's slowly getting more over as I actually push him a little more. As we move forward to basically announcers putting over the main event tonight is a big 6-team tag, as Sting will be teaming up with the World Tag Team Champions of Ron Simmons and Two Gold Scorpio to take on the team of the British Bulldog, Scott Flamingo, and Vinny Vegas. That gets 69. Nice, as we move forward to our next match. As a decent match, Jacques Rougeau defeats Shane Douglas in 8:29 by submission with the Corporate Crab. This gets a 64. Jacques gets a 62. Douglas gets a 47. Perfectly solid, competitive, but quasi squash from Rougeau. And then he, of course, waves a quick flag afterwards as the crowd boos, because, of course, waving a foreign flag is a big no-no. But solid stuff as we move forward. As we have a quick backstage promo where Big Man Vader is with Harley Race, and Vader goes, well, prove that Havoc was the fluke. Cactus Jack was able to barely get a win over him, and he never got his real rematch that he deserves. Well, he just took out Cactus Jack at Clash Champions, and now WCW officials have no way to screw him out of the title match. That Superbrawl, he's going to take back his world title, but that he's still the man. Vader's the man. And then that gets to 80. Good stuff. Then we go to our next match, which is about that decent match of the crowd, but some power wrestling. JW Storm and Van Hamburg get a fairly big win as they defeat Max Payne and Samoan Savage at 8:43 when JW Storm pins Samoan Savage with a neckbreaker drop. This gets a 57, which actually is a little bit better than I expected. Hamburg gets a 41, JW Storm gets a 57, Samoan Savage gets a 45, Max Payne gets a 44, or 54. Solid mid-card, lower mid-card tag match with Storm and Hammer continuing getting their momentum up as they defeat actually a solid tag team here. As Max Payne did have the US title earlier in 1993, and Samoan Savage has been around. And then, of course, Storm and Hammer play air guitar afterwards to a 41. Solid stuff. And then we have a Ricky Steamboat promo where he basically responds to Rick Rude. He says, he has a long history in WCW and a long history with Rude. We fought in wars before, and we'll fight in wars again, Rude. So, Rude, I'm a fighter, thinking I'm just going to be a speed bump for you, back on your back away on the top. I just have to remind you why I'm still called the Dragon. 68, straightforward babyface promo. And just, continues that little feud that started up at Clash of the Champions. And then in about that good wrestling, decent match to the crowd, Steve Regal defeats Brad Armstrong in 9:51 by pinfall with a Regalplex falling interference for Chris Benoit. So, of course, Armstrong and Jannetty were teaming up, and they fought to a 10-minute time limit with Eaton Benoit Clash of Champions, but also Jannetty got injured. So, unfortunately, basically, have to basically set this up for the short-term future, as basically, Benoit interferes to help his quasi-SEAL partner Regal get a win, so he gets momentum back after dropping the US title rematch. And post-match, we have a 3-on-1 beatdown on Armstrong, as he has nobody else coming out to save him, and that gets 66 and build up some heat for this little group we've got. So, solid stuff. And then we have a big Ric Flair promo, which gets 100 because he's freaking Flair. And, he basically says, Ted DiBiase talks a lot about he's so rich, he's so powerful, he has all this money. Well, let me remind you, I never had to be given the name $1 Million Man. People saw the luxury jets I flew in. People saw the $5,000 suits I was wearing. People saw the women that were on my arm. I never had to pay for any of it because I'm Ric Flair, custom made, former world champion. And while you were being interviewed by Robert Leach, I was rolling through all the finest women in Hollywood and all the finest women in this world. So, remember one thing, DiBiase. Diamonds are forever, so is Ric Flair. And what that means, brother, is that there's no price you can pay to get me out of your hair. Woo! So, really good promo. Flair, builds up the DiBiase, feud. Then we have a extremely short match, Hawk and Sumani defeating Rip Rogers and Terry Taylor in 3:15. When Hawk pinned Rip Rogers with a military press slam. Straightforward squash. This gets a 47. Sumani gets a 68. Hawk gets a 70. Terry Taylor gets a 48. Rogers gets a 42. Basically just, quick squash win. As in they put over the fact, yes, Iron Horseman got lucky at Clash of Champions, but we're still two, big bad dudes. So if if Arn or Wyndham or anybody in the Iron Horseman want to fight, we'll be right here. And, if you want to come get some, we'll be ready. And then Hawk does his, Hawk stuff. 68, solid stuff. And then in a bout of great heat and decent wrestling, Brian Pillman defeats Marcus Bagwell 9:54 by pinfall that Enziguri. Ouch, not even an actual finisher. Okay. This gets a 63, which is a little disappointing because they didn't click. Pillman gets a 64, Bagwell gets a 36. And again, competitive, but still, you knew who was going to win this match. And then afterwards, Brian Pillman basically says, a lot of people have called themselves the future of this business. A lot of people think they're special just because of who their daddy was. A lot of people think they're special just because they've been given a big head by people in the back. But I've proved myself to be one of the greatest wrestlers in this business and proved that, truly I'm the future of this business and nobody else is. What you saw right there in that ring is just the beginning. And as far as the greatest women in this business, I'm going to lead us towards the future of World Championship Wrestling. And you're looking at things. And you put some sunglasses on because I'm going to shine bright. Or something douchey here like that. 68, good stuff, as we move forward. To our big man Then we got a Sergeant Slaughter promo, which gets a 73. Basically, thanks to for his support, glad he was able to prove to that puke, Steven Regal, that America is the greatest country in the world. And he's very proud to hold the United States title around his waist. Again, straightforward babyface promo, puts over, Slaughter's the US champion. And, he might have, challengers soon. You never know. And that gets a 73. And then our main event, which gets a 76, which is actually surprisingly good. And about that great heat and good wrestling, Sting and Scorpio and Steamboat defeats the British Bulldog, Scotty Flamingo, and Vinny Vegas in 15:07 when Sting pinned Scotty Flamingo with Stinger Splash. So basically, wild, 6-way to end things. Sting gets the big win over Scotty Flamingo, because of course he does, but, the big thing is Sting and Bulldog facing off each other, brawling and fighting. This gets a 76, like I said. Sting gets an 84. Scorpio gets a 63, Simmons gets a 71, Vegas gets a 56, Flamingo gets a 51, British Bulldog gets an 80. And then we move forward, as after the match, basically what happens is right after the, Sting basically gets the pinfall, Bulldog comes in, and they start brawling and fighting before WCW officials break things up. And this gets an 83 to close things out, as, announcers put over, this burgeoning battle between two men that used to be friends when the British Bulldog entered this company. Overall, we get a 80, which is really good. One of our better Saturday nights in a while. And I really like sort of not really the new way I've been booking things, but basically a little more not even more, a little more focused, just a little less of purely squash matches, more competitive stuff, and really building WCW to be the WCW it can be of the 90s without, of course, all the downsides of the Hogan era. Anyway, I'll be back in a second with second Saturday night of the taping. So I'll be back with that in just a moment. All right, now time for the second show of the taping, and we start out with the Iron Horsemen coming out, and they, promo open the show. Basically, Pillman does Pillman things in the background, looking crazy and Prime Pillman-y, and, Arn very clear with that we always feel Froggy, Tsunami, and Hawk, especially when it comes to big SOBs who think they're special because they used to wear paint or they used to walk around like an earthquake. But, they're special need to cut down the size, because remember, it's not about how big you are, it's how hard you fall. And when you face two of the best wrestlers on the planet, that's exactly what will happen to you. Also, basically takes the mic and says, you never know what's going to happen in this world from one moment to the other. And tonight, when I close a chapter versus old Shano, I'm going to move on to bigger, better things. And it just might be a shock to the system what I do next. 85, solid stuff, building things up. Then we get our opening match, which is Dustin Rhodes defeating the Gambler in 447 by pinfall with Running Bulldog. Gets a 55. Straightforward squash for Rhodes as he gets the big win. Rhodes gets a 72. Gambler gets a 36. Then he gets basically a quick promo. He says, there are people talking about the future, but we have to talk about the present. And, Pillman, you can talk all you want about how you're the future of this business, but only one of us has been world champion so far, and it sure ain't you. Just puts over, builds up that little feud that's been going on for, past little bit. And this gets a 69 as we move forward. Then we have basically a squash win as Vader defeats Hector Guerrero in 624 by pinfall the belly-to-belly suplex. He doesn't even hit the Vader bomb or the moonsault or even the power bomb. He just kills him. As the 69, nice. Vader gets an 82, Guerrero gets a 44. Again, straightforward squash win, Guerrero can sell well, so there you go. And then Vader celebrates, which gets a 71. Then we move forward where Arn and Barry Windham team up, to have a tag team match as they defeat the Powers of Pain in 1041. When Barry Windham pins the Warrior with a superplex, this gets a 61 overall in 1041, like I said. And, straightforward solid win for Arn and Barry over a mid-card face tag team. It's a clean win, no cheating. I mean, there's cheating, but there's no cheating in the win, just Windham being slightly better. And getting the pinfall victory for the Horsemen. Windham gets a 76, Arn gets an 80, Warlock gets a 53, Barry gets a 54. And post-match, Arn and Barry celebrate, hold the 4 fingers, all that fun stuff, and that gets a 73 itself. Then we move forward. Okay, probably should have arranged this so it wasn't 2 horsemen matches back right on each other, but can you do? Anyway, Steve Austin defeats Shane Douglas in 1038 by pinfall, again with a knee drop. Probably should be, let's say the Sun good, because it seems a little mean to have just be a complete squash. Doug fights a little, but at the end of the day, Austin is Austin, as he gets the big victory here. This gets a 64, Austin gets a 76, Douglas gets a 47, and then Austin celebrates to a 67. And then we come back from commercial with a Ted DiBiase promo, as he starts off with a, his DiBiase style laugh. He says, well, Ric Flair, Nature Boy, it's interesting. He said that like last week, when they're called $1 Million Man, well, it reminds me that you have to have $1 million to be called $1 Million Man. And as we all know, you may make a lot of money, but you spend a lot of money. And especially because when you make most of your money wrestling in pathetic places like Kentucky, Georgia, Charlotte, and all the like, well, I'm wrestling all over the world. It makes sense that you want to act like you're jealous of me and talk lies about being in Hollywood, when in reality, if I went to Los Angeles and used my money to talk to some of the biggest moguls in Hollywood, they wouldn't be able to recognize you in a lineup, Flair. That's why, at Superbrawl, the myth of the Nature Boy will be busted, because the reality is, if I would have chosen a different path, Flair, I could have been you. I could have been the world champion wrestling all the world, but I chose something greater to become the $1 Million Man. Ha ha ha. DiBiase laugh, 875, solid promo. Good stuff as we continue to build this up. And to actually hit the next segment. There we go. As an 8 battle like Greg, good heat in these wrestling, Chris Benoit defeats JW Storm in 1007 by submission of the crossface, following interference from Steven Regal. So, Benoit gets the big win over Storm. This gets a 51. Storm gets a 56. Benoit gets a 66. Storm gets a 58. Yeah, just no storyline, so match was hurt a little by this, but just straightforward, win in the tag division, quasi in the tag division between 2 tag team competitors. And then post-match, looks like another 3-on beatdown, but, Brad Arms, should be Brad Armstrong, not Brad Anderson. Damn it. See, this is why Vince changes people's first names, so he doesn't screw up who's supposed to do stuff. Let's pretend that's Brad Armstrong running down with a chair to run them off to a pop as this gets a 49. And Regal's getting sale, which I'll note real quick. And then we have a Cactus Jack promo, which is a little underwhelming. I guess I wonder what happened here. Okay, burned out crowd. What can you do? Not book your power hour Saturday the same night? Well, yes, but anyway, Cactus Jack, cuts a promo. He puts over his talking points of Vader being a tough SOB. I never said you weren't, but I'm tougher. That's why, that's why I'm going to prove at Superbrawl how Havoc wasn't a fluke. That's when I woke up after Clash with bad shaky knees and a bruise on my head. I had to tell myself it wasn't a fluke because I still had that world title beside me in the bed. Because Vader, yes, you got on a Charlotte meets Superbrawl. But take this title, you're going to need to put me in an ambulance. You're going to need to put me in a hearse. Bang, bang. So good solid promo. Probably would have been better if it wasn't burned out crowd. But still, really building up that world title match. Then we have ouch. Okay, well, that's okay. This show is probably going to be bad. And about good heat in these wrestling, Charles Solidarity defeated 1 man gang in 1026 by pinfall. This gets a 50. Slaughter gets a 69, Gang gets a 51, but Wild Brawl does help to dead crowds, and Slaughter was tiring, so, again, not the greatest thing, but not the end of the world either. As then post-match, out of nowhere, Steve Austin just, Slaughter is celebrating his big non-title win, but out of nowhere, Austin just attacks him, comes out of nowhere, just wild, begins to beat him down, before WCW still, break in, and now just for the fact this must be the impact that Austin was talking about making earlier tonight. As this gets a 67, and yeah, crowd pops, as we have a new US title feud. Then we move forward with Sherry Martel, which gets a 68. As basically, Steamboat, he puts over Steamboat, special, gets wrestled last year, and we wrestled a lot of match, but you never been what you could have been. Well, I've been stopped from being what I should be, the greatest wrestler in World Championship Wrestling, because officials are afraid to give me the shots that I deserve. I should be in matches for the world title, not going over past battles. So tonight, just continues the path to the top that I will not be denied. And then in our actual main event, gets a 57. Ouch, yeah, this is going to be a bad show. Well, bad show writing-wise. I actually like the booking, just a bad show overall. And about the good heating, great heating, good wrestling, Rude and Jack Rougeau defeated Ricky Steamboat and Johnny B. Bad in 1620 when Rude pinned Ricky Steamboat. He says he's using it for leverage, but Martel hands him something. He wallops Steamboat with it, and he gets the pinfall victory. This gets a 57, Bad gets a 57, Steamboat gets a 78, Rude gets a 59, Rude gets a 78, so, not the greatest thing. And then we have our final thing, which ends things, which is basically Bulldog. Rude celebrates as a heel. Then we go to our ending thing, which is Bulldog and Sting having a confrontation. Bulldog basically puts over. He's the world heavyweight champion. He's the international world champion, and he now he's WCW official saying that Sting deserves a shot against him. And he says, "Why do you even deserve that world title shot?" Sting puts over the fact that he's a former time world champion. And yes, Bulldog, you're the international world champion. And you're a tough fighter, but you never faced me in that ring, brother, buddy, pal. And, when Bulldog fights back, says in his British way, "You will never, my friend. You wanted to keep me below you. You were scared. And now you're scared that I'm my own man now. And I'm the international world champion. Well, you're nothing but a loser." Sid fights back. Sting fights back, says, "If I'm such a loser, just fighting in the ring and prove that you're the champion that you think you are." And Bulldog says, "Fine. You want to prove yourself you deserve a shot at this title as he talks the international world title, then be a competitor of my choosing next week right here on Saturday night." Sting shrugs, says, "Fine, I'll fight whoever." And Bulldog says, "Okay, fine, fight whoever. How about somebody who's defeated you multiple times already recently?" And that brings out the music of Sid. And he says, "Yes, I mean Sid." Crowd pop for that, as next week on Saturday night, it'll be Sting versus Sid Vicious. 79, so this might save the show. Maybe, maybe not. No really good promo with the third promo from last week, but, well, I'm gonna guess probably probably 60s. 67, okay. Not our best show, mostly because, it was just some not screwy booking, but some screwy overness there, overall. Let's see here what loads up. So, yeah, let's just go through the mail real quick. Benoit thinks, okay, that's just not true. And Austin thinks, that's more true of Bobby, And let me just double check. Okay, so if we look at events real quick. So Superbrawl is set for week 3. So yeah, that's still, okay, so week 3, week 4. So yeah, we still have 5 weeks to sort of set things up. Okay, so yeah, not the end of the world or anything. Still a couple more weeks to basically tape, and then we'll go from there. Cool, sounds good. But yeah, I'll be back in just a second. Actually, yeah, I think, again, I know I started this with the MLW show, but I think I'm also going to do it with this video, again, just because I'm trying to get back in the swing of things with these TEW 2020 videos. Again, summer's actually been positive, but it's been a little, rough as far as doing videos, so I just want to get this back into gear, before we actually move forward with the usual schedule. So this is going to be a shorter video than usual. We do have 2 Saturday nights, so that should be helpful. And then next video for this series will be basically the lead up to Superbrawl and then Superbrawl itself, most likely. But yeah, I think I actually enjoyed the booking here, sort of, rebuilding things, building to. And actually, as far as pre-booking, one other thing we can do is pre-book. What is it? Yeah, we can pre-book Wait, what's the thing we haven't? Okay, yeah, we can pre-book Rude versus Steamboat. If that's even more obvious that it's happening now. And what's the other match that we can actually pre-book? Let's see here. Cactus Jack and Vader is already pre-booked. Flair DiBiase is already pre-booked. Honestly, that's the only thing that's sort of official. I mean, there are things that I think you guys can sort of see that it's going to happen soon. Nothing else that's actually completely there right now. So, I'll come back to this in a second. But yeah, so as for storylines, Battle of the Badasses is at a 78. Mid-card Battling, which is basically all our tag teams, is at a 65. NWA title, which is Sting Bulldog, is at 79. Flair DiBiase is at an 85. Throwback to last year, Rude Steamboat is at 60. US title, which is basically new, is at 67. Pillman Rhodes is at a 77. And Vader Jack is at an 82. Hopefully next week when we aren't taping 4 shows on one night, we won't actually totally burn out the crowd again. But yeah. Like I said, this week, hopefully, I'll have the plan is for this week to basically be my return to basically full time actually putting videos up. So, today, which is Monday, hopefully, should be this WCW 1983. Tomorrow will be a new series, which I'm going to do some testing on and hopefully do some tweaking and hopefully have starting tomorrow. Wednesday will be the return of WCW 2004 now. Thursday will be regular MLW video, and Friday will be the second WCW video of the week. And then we'll be back to our sort of quasi-regular schedule. As far as Cornell-verse weekends, honestly, I hate to say it because I do really enjoy the Cornell-verse, but I'm just not feeling it for whatever reason. I don't even know why. I like booking, but I don't know. It's just weird. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed this. If you liked it, go give it a like. Comment below what you're liking and not enjoying, and subscribe to the channel for lots of TW20 content, which I just went over. That's it for now, so talk to you later, and adios. Have a good one.